everyone. Welcome back to another episode with the Crime and Coffee Couple. My name's Allison.
Hey, my name's Mike.
Hi, Mike.
Hey, babe. How are you?
I'm doing so-so.
So, huh? Yeah.
Yeah, I've been getting over a cold, and I'm just sick all the time, apparently. And I just have no energy, so I'm just pushing through.
I feel like we've said that before. Like it's kind of a recurring theme.
It's an epidemic in my life. I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe it's stress. I'm not sure.
Maybe you would think with all those different little vitamins you take every single day that you'd be protected. Maybe you're like, you just happen to be a sickly type person in your old age, and maybe you'd get sick more often if you didn't take those vitamins.
Right. And Mike cannot help himself but to give his little jabs, because I was like, oh man, I've got this cold. And he's like, well, apparently all these vitamins aren't helping you.
Well, we see, all those things going down, and we see, we hear just colds and things of that nature. So I don't know. I'm just, maybe I'm using the scientific method where you look at the proof in front of you, and it turns out that perhaps these things aren't working as well.
I have some proof in front of me, and it's that you're an a-hole.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's you're the sick one, so I'm the healthy one. So I guess we'll listen to her, the sick one, folks.
And Mike has some harebrained ideas. This morning I made some sourdough chocolate peanut butter bread,
which was delicious.
A little bit ago, and he's taking it out of the fridge and saying, oh, I think this might be good with some jalapeno cream cheese.
And you're like, what? What? And it was like, okay, I mean, it's not ideal. It's not like you'd walk into a restaurant and hear jalapeno cream cheese on a peanut butter and chocolate bread. But it was okay. I tried it. It wasn't great. But,
no, of course it wasn't great.
Well, there's things that are spicy and sweet, right? Like you've tried those things in your life.
Yes.
And you've probably said like, oh, that's interesting, right? At those times.
Like a hot honey on my
pizza.
You
put hot honey on pizza.
I do, and it's delicious. But I'm sorry. Jalapeno cream cheese on chocolate peanut butter bread, that just crosses the line. It's like one time I was out with my girlfriends, and our son was like, I don't know, maybe a year and a half. And I came home and I'm like, what did Cameron have for dinner? And he's like, oh, I took one of those blueberry waffles and put hummus on it.
He liked blueberry waffles. He liked hummus, and it was healthy. And I was like, you know what? This kid eats everything. I'm just going to throw it at him, see what happens. Sure enough, he ate, and eggs, I think. I think there was also scrambled eggs in there somewhere.
I was highly offended that you fed that to our child.
Yeah, any of you parents out there, just like sometimes your kids just like will eat stuff, won't eat stuff. And I was like, okay, well, he'll eat all these things. It'll be nice and easy, quick. And lo and behold, Allison comes in like, oh, you fed him blueberry waffles and hummus?
Sometimes I like smoked salmon, and I also like ice cream, but I don't have smoked salmon on my ice cream.
I would eat it. Oh, smoked salmon ice cream? There's like all those like really like high-end ice cream places that kind of put together weird little combinations.
Yeah, and smoked salmon ain't one of them.
No. Speaking of smoked salmon, I'd say you had no idea about this segue. But last night I was, looking around TikTok as I was winding down and for the evening. And I'm in this section of TikTok with like tinned fish TikTok. So I don't know.
You like tinned fish.
I do. I don't know why. I love fish. I just love it. We never get to eat it because Allison's always like, oh, the fish is fishy.
I can't eat any fish that tastes fishy. If I get a hint of fishiness, I'm out.
Yeah, I like it every single time. Like I love smoked salmon, or I love any kind of salmon, right? And so every time I make salmon, it's like I'm holding my breath as Allison takes her first bite. I'm like, okay.
As the fork is going to my mouth, you're just like, oh.
And every single time, I'm not joking, every single time we make salmon, she goes, is it fishy? Every single time. I'm like, hon, I know you're asking if it's fishy. I tried to like cook it properly, so it's not that I screw up the cooking. Like sometimes, like especially the wild stuff that I like the super pink salmon that's like caught wild and super healthy for you, you will not be having that. So it's just like, because it tastes like a salmon fish, which is unfortunate for you.
Michael Simon said, if you don't like the taste of fishy salmon, you're probably cooking it too long.
Oh, and that's another thing. Allison hears something once, and that's what she's going to refer to for the rest of her life when it comes to cooking.
Especially when it's from a respected chef.
Oh, I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's doing, but like the wild salmon's always going to be more fishier than like the farm raised.
Right, and that's why I wish I did like it. I wish I did.
Yeah, I do too.
But I don't.
Nice.
And I don't know. I can't change that.
So sometimes I have to kind of go towards tinned fish, so like sardines and things of that nature. But like there's this whole section of TikTok where they like review other fishes in tins,
such as
like mussels and oysters and just like mackerel and like all these different tinned fishes and different brands. So these two dudes, like 20-year-old guys, they like put in their chopsticks and they both sit there. They're like, yeah, that's I give that like a 7 out of 10 or whatever. So it's kind of cool.
Beach Cliff fish steaks in Louisiana Hot Sauce. Fish is airy. It's got a kick.
Nice kick. It's different. It's unique.
7.5.
That's right. 6'5".
It's like interesting. It's like these brands I've never heard of. They're like high-end brands, and like I guess in like Europe and stuff, tin fish is like huge.
Well, sure. You think of like, I don't know, am I thinking Finland? Is that right?
Probably.
Where there's a lot of fish and such.
all those Vikings and all those things.
So do they share links as to how to or where to purchase said tin fish?
They don't, because they're not like selling it. They're just reviewing it. It's like
right,
super
but it'd
cool.
be helpful to know where, if they're like, ooh, this is a 10 out of 10. You're just like, okay, well, how do I obtain this tin fish?
That's exactly what happened. They went and they reviewed the Patagonia Spanish mackerel, Spanish paprika mackerel in olive oil. I'm remembering all this. All I wrote down was tin fish.
Oh
but
my
this is amazing for me, by the way. So it's in that brand Patagonia. It's the outdoor brand.
Oh my gosh, when you said that, I was like, wait, that's like for outerwear.
Yeah, the same brand. So Patagonia Spanish mackerel with paprika in olive oil. So they looked it over last night. They're like, this is a great fish. They're like, this is delicious. This is like, they go through some bad ones. They're like, this is everything. This is why I keep coming back. This is like good stuff. He's like, this is delicious. So I went online, just Googled it. So like, they didn't have a link. They're like, just Google it. It's available. I guess it's a lot of like outdoor places, REI.
Well, it makes sense because when you're out hiking and camping, that's something that you can get protein and it's sustainable or whatever. You know what I mean? It stays fresh.
Yep. So I got 3 tins. They're coming to us.
Oh, Lord.
I imagine you won't want to try it.
No, I'm sorry. I try to be open-minded, but when it comes to seafood sometimes, especially in a can, I just can't.
Yeah, I mean, I love it because it's like extra fresh. So they should be here, in a week or so, and they were about $8 a can. So it's not cheap. Like it's definitely more expensive. I mean, tuna is like $1.50 a can or something like that.
Right.
So.
Well, all I know is oftentimes Mike will open these types of cans and then the whole entire kitchen smells of fishiness and it's like right there. It's like I'm out. So I mean, if you took a bite and said, "Oh no, it's not fishy," that'd be fine. But are there bones in it?
This one's boneless and skinless.
Okay, because I'm not going to be crunching down on any kind of bones.
But these guys like their bones in there too. They're like, "Oh, I like a bone. I like skin." So they're very like mature of their tastes, I guess, with fish. But that's what got me excited this week. And another thing got me excited. Allison got me my new coffee maker, the Ninja Grand Lux Cafe. And I made you a nice little latte.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it'd be a huge pain in the butt because I think, you love lattes, and I'd be like, I'm basically giving myself a job by getting this coffee maker, which I did because, I enjoy making coffee for you. But
I make my own too because I get up really early to do a workout, and
do.
I don't like doing a lot of extensive work before my workout. I just want to jump into it and get it done. So I have to tell you, it takes less than 5 minutes to make. So if you were thinking about getting an espresso machine, I mean, thus far, I've really liked it.
it's been pretty awesome. You did break it once. Did we talk about that already?
No, we didn't.
yeah.
It was honestly partially your fault
Yeah.
because you left the brew basket in full of grounds. And
That's
I'm
true.
sorry, you should leave it so that it's ready to go. Because in the morning when I'm half asleep and it's 5 a.m., I don't want to be cleaning out old coffee grounds.
No. And guys, we've talked about this, but she's insane about just making sure everything's like perfectly set for the next day. And always, like before you go to sleep, you're making sure the ice maker's filled. You're making sure the coffee's like clean. You're making sure that like, everything is set so like your next day is like as easy as possible.
I want my morning to go smoothly because when it starts to fall apart, it kind of sets the tone for my day. So I do, like, I'll make my protein shake the day before. I'll make sure the water's filled in the coffee. The grounds are filled. My cup is washed.
Yeah.
I have my clothes laid out. I just like to be smooth in the morning because it sets the tone for a more positive day.
Yeah, and that's exactly the reason where I always say if you like this podcast, then you've chosen the right one because we're going to deliver the episodes every time Allison it says we are going to. Like, we're never going to miss one. Life happens. I definitely get it.
Of course, life happens. One person made a nice comment. They said, of all the podcasts I listen to, I have to say you guys are the most consistent.
Yeah.
We have had a couple of oops on our bonus episodes, so sorry to our patrons. I think Apple subscriptions were fine. It was over on Patreon.
Guess whose fault that was?
It was my husband's.
Yeah.
But that's okay. We're human.
I will say that. And I told our Patreons, I'm like, hey guys, if there's ever a late thing, it's me. So I totally apologize. I was busy and out doing like work stuff, but that's not a surprise. I knew I'd be out doing work stuff. I got to get it set before I go.
It happens. Lesson
Yeah.
learned. But one last thing and we'll shut up. This is the second time I'm making this sourdough bread. It's inspired by the Texas Roadhouse rolls. If you've been to Texas Roadhouse, You know these rolls and they are amazing.
I think Texas Roadhouse is the #1 restaurant in America right now.
Is it really?
I think it's the most busiest, #1. So they're popping up everywhere and they're always friggin' packed, but sorry to interrupt.
So if you've gone there, you've had these delicious rolls, and really what sets them apart is the butter. It's like the cinnamon honey butter, and it's just divine, and
so
the rolls
good.
come out warm. So the bread I'm making, it has a cinnamon honey butter like wrapped into it, and then you top it with the cinnamon honey butter.
Oh gosh, I've had it for breakfast like every morning so far this week, and it's been just divine. It's such a nice way to start your day.
Our daughter wasn't happy with you yesterday. She's like, Mom, would you make me a piece of the toast with the cinnamon butter? I'm like, well, we have no more cinnamon butter and we have no more toast.
Yeah, maybe Princess needs to wake up earlier. Yeah,
Well, she's got to get ahead of you, that's for sure.
exactly.
All right, so on that note, are you ready to get into this?
I'm ready.
All right, so this is the murder of Ashley Bocanegra. So there are always two sides to every story, and one person's word against another. And we might interpret the way things happen differently, just like Mike and I would. Like in a morning, if we're rushed and I think something went wrong, I'd be like, no, this happened. And Mike would be like, no, that's not how it happened.
Yeah, I'd be logical, you'd be more emotional, and I'd be right and you'd be wrong.
And you think about, like, say, sports, and, you know, if there's some sort of question, you go back and review the video. So when you have a video in a case, there are no questions.
Oh, that'd be so nice for like everyday discussions, just to be able to rewind the tape like they do in that commercial. Be like, let's rewind the tape. And see
right,
what
where they
actually
throw
happened.
in the flag.
Yeah, the red flag. And it's this also reminds me of like anytime people get divorced. Like it's always like, you have one side and you have the other side, and it's like somewhere in the middle is the actual truth.
Well, in this case, the aggressors were thankfully foolish enough to record their own attack against another, thus proving that their side of the story was nothing but a blatant lie.
Okay, this is going to be satisfying. Unfortunately, it sounds like a really horrible case, but at the same time,
So
satisfying.
jumping into this case, we will have inserted a lot of audio, and if you're watching over on YouTube, a lot of video to support what all happens here. So today we are diving into a tragic case about love that was twisted into betrayal and violence. And we're stepping back to August of 2022 in Buford, Georgia. And 30-year-old Ashley Bocanegra, she was a hardworking mom from New York. She was chasing a fresh start for herself and her 7-year-old son. So she was a manager at Floor & Decor, and she entered into a budding romance with her coworker. This is Daniel Gonzalez. She was unaware that this was heading into a deadly trap. So, fueled by jealousy and deception and a confrontation that spiraled into a brutal attack that left nothing to the investigators' imaginations because it was captured on video by the attackers themselves.
Idiots.
So, I will tell you this involves a love triangle and an affair, so it's not just a straightforward budding romance. So Ashley's story is a stark reminder that sometimes the cost of love can be fatal. So as Ashley Bocanegra and Daniel Gonzalez started their secret romance, each of their partners were unaware. So at least at first they were. So sadly, when Daniel's fiancée, this is Antonetta Stevens, and his teenage sister, Janine, uncovered the affair, they started to scheme together, and their jealousy ignited a deadly plot that resulted in a vicious, deadly attack. So in 2022, Ashley Bocanegra, she was establishing herself in her new town of Buford, Georgia, because she had relocated to the area from the Bronx with her 7-year-old son. She kind of wanted to just get out of the city, get into a space that had more land for her child to stretch his legs and such not, really just to provide a better life for her child. So at the time, she and her son shared an apartment with her fiancé, Julian Reyes, who was also the father of her child. So Ashley was described by her family and friends as a loyal, supportive person who was tremendously loved. So according to family members, at the time of Ashley's death, she and Julian, they were no longer living together as romantic partners. They were basically just staying together as co-parents to their son in an arrangement that, for the time being, it just worked for them. So Ashley was dedicated to her job as a manager at Floor & Decor, but little did she know that the flirtatious interaction that began between herself and her coworker, again, this is Daniel Gonzalez, would be the beginning of the end of her life. So while she was working with him, they would work together often on the night shift, like later in the day. Daniel and Ashley initially connected over the relationship struggles because they each had their own complaints with the relationship with their partners. each of them had children with their partners, and eventually their friendship morphed into something more.
And that's where it gets dangerous, where the emotional sharing and stuff starts. It's an emotional affair at first.
Right. And that's why I just, as a married person, refuse to put myself in that space. And I always say happy people don't cheat. But I don't want to connect with another man who is not my husband. I'm just not going to do that because it's going to be a disrespect to not only my relationship with you, but also our whole family unit.
And that's a lot easier to say when you're happy in a relationship.
Of course it is. I'm not, what's disillusioned to realize that that's not the case.
Yeah.
And, a relationship, it takes a lot of work and it's not always going to be perfect. There's times I'm just like, just like anybody is.
Communication, I think, is key.
So at the time they started chatting, Daniel was engaged to 27-year-old Antonetta Stevens, and the couple shared an apartment with their 2 young sons, ages 3 and 9, as well as his teenage sister, Janine Gonzalez. So Julian was unaware of the fact that Ashley was in a romantic relationship with another man, although he later did admit that he suspected that maybe something was going on. So in the meantime, Daniel managed to keep his double life a secret from his fiancée, that is until August of 2022. And unlike in Julian's case, Antonetta, she strongly believed that something was definitely going on and that Daniel was straying. So
remind me again, so they had an active relationship.
Yeah, they were
together.
engaged.
Right, okay.
So these suspicions were eventually confirmed by Daniel's 17-year-old sister, Janine, after her brother confided in her about the fact that he had feelings for Ashley, his manager.
Oof.
So one day before Janine and Antonetta went on to confront and attack Ashley, Janine told Antonetta about her brother's indiscretions, and the two headed out in the direction of where Ashley and Daniel worked. This is Floor and Decor. And lo and behold, as they're approaching what's known as the Quick Trip convenience store, it's situated right there near Floor and Decor. Who did they see? The couple, Ashley and Daniel, walking together. So this was over Daniel's lunch break, and this was besides the fact that when Antonetta had talked to Daniel about him working that day, he indicated that he was not going to get a lunch break that day. So he obviously was lying to her. So she confronted them and an argument thus began. So the very next day, this is Thursday, August 11th, 2022, while Daniel was still asleep, Antonetta grabbed his cell phone and she took this opportunity to go through his phone, thereby fully confirming both his physical and emotional relationship with Ashley. So Antonetta and Janine, they were sitting together truly as partners in crime, and they were scheming as Antonetta utilized Daniel's phone to text Ashley. So she was posing as Daniel. And what she did was, so while she's posing as Daniel, she's texting Ashley and saying, okay, I'm getting kicked out of my house because she found out about us. So she's basically having the goal to get the unsuspecting other woman over to their apartment so that she can confront her. So it wasn't long before Ashley came over. She arrived at the Preston Hills at Mill Creek Apartments in Buford, where Daniel and Antonetta lived. Of course, Janine lived there as well. So as she walked down the street behind their apartment complex, Ashley expected to see, of course, Daniel, because that's who she assumed she was texting with. So in the meantime, Janine was filming the very moment that Antonetta confronted her.
Look at her right there, right there. So that's why that was me, you know. Yeah.
So before Ashley even had a chance to respond, Antonetta was in full attack mode, and the video depicted a brutal ambush that resulted in Ashley falling to the ground as she was pulled down by her hair. So she was screaming as Antonetta continued beating her as Ashley was desperately trying to protect herself. So during the attack, Antonetta could be heard repeatedly saying, "I will murder you. I will murder you.
I will murder you. I will murder you. I will murder you. I will murder you. I will murder you."
So it was clear that Antonetta was in a full rage as she accused Ashley of ruining her family, shouting vulgar threats, and even taunting her about Daniel. And in the video, you could hear her say hi to Daniel. He said I could come out here and F you up. And that's what I'm doing.
Want to get up?
Get off me.
Get off my hair. I'm going to you up.
Let me go then. Get off me.
Say hi to Daniel.
Get off me.
Say hi to Daniel.
Get the f off me.
You know he said I could come out here and you up, right?
Okay, good.
You know that, right?
Uh-huh.
He's in the house with our son.
Hey, wow.
He said I could you up. Yep, this is what we do. If I get mad and he knows I'm leaving, he feels sad. He says, I'll let you her up. That's what I'm doing. You up.
All right.
Tell me everything.
You got it. Get off.
Nope.
No, you ain't got. You don't get to
be
say
on my
so.
man, right? Want to be in front of my man, right?
Get off.
Right? You his manager? I'm getting you fired. That's bias.
Okay, so
Yep, that's a conflict of interest. I'm showing this to the job. You're my while he's on the clock. My going there trying to ruin his family. He has a whole son. You're mad for him?
Okay. Get off.
Wow. Yeah.
Get the f off me.
That's that. I tell you.
Get the f off me.
Yeah.
So while Antonetta carried on with her blows, Janine could be heard in the background because, of course, she's the person that's filming this whole thing. So she's laughing and she's egging on her future sister-in-law. So Ashley is repeatedly telling Antonetta, get off me, get off me. So the video that Janine filmed throughout the attack is so violent and graphic that it's only been released in little pieces. So you don't get to see a lot of the true hitting and attack, which honestly, I'm glad because stuff like that just sticks with you.
Yeah, especially if you know the outcome.
Of course. So as she carried on, Antonetta paused and she asked Janine, hey, do you want to get in on this? And Janine said that she did. And with that, she marched over to Ashley, who at this point in time was laying on the pavement, and she violently kicked her in the midsection and back. So not only did they viciously attack Ashley, but throughout this whole scuffle and fight, they took her cell phone. It was sitting down on the ground. And they claimed to investigators that they intended to utilize Ashley's phone to contact her fiancé about the affair.
Got my face.
All right, get my phone.
Nope, you're not getting it. You're jumping both of us for your phone.
Get my phone.
Come on. Let's go. Let's go.
Get my phone.
No.
So that was her intention when they took the phone.
With Julian, I think his name was.
Yeah.
Okay.
So as Antonetta carried on with her rage and she and Ashley were rolling around on the street, again, this is just outside, like that backs up the apartments. Meanwhile, an employee from the apartment complex was driving by on a golf cart and went on to call 911. And she explained that two girls were fighting and one in particular was very bloody. Antonetta was easily able to dominate Ashley during the fight. This was not a fair fight. Number one, because it was 2 against 1. But number 2, Ashley was extremely petite and very thin. And Antonetta had just a more solid build to her. So it was not a fair fight whatsoever. So according to Ashley's family members, she had never been the fighting type. And despite the fact that she was a very casual girl, she was often sporting sweatpants and a sweatshirt. At the same time, one family member described her as a diva who always had her makeup and hair done. So as the fight came to an end, Ashley was left battered in the street as Antonetta and Janine went back to their apartment with Ashley's phone in tow. So despite her immense injuries at this point in time, she stood up, she brushed herself off, and she followed the pair up to their apartment because she wanted to get her cell phone back. So Daniel later told investigators that when Antonetta and his sister came back to the apartment, because of course at that point in time he had been sleeping, so he hears this ruckus, this commotion, because they're all amped up after having gotten into this fight and they're carrying on about it, and thus he woke up from all of this commotion. So moments later, Ashley began knocking on the door demanding her cell phone back. So Daniel indicated that when he went to the door where Ashley stood, he was shocked by the sight of her injuries. So much so that he said he was stunned to the point that he initially closed the door on her. Then he eventually opened it back up and he did give her her cell phone back and she left. So later that night, Daniel told investigators that his relationship with Antonetta had been falling apart for some time now. And when she confronted him just the day before, this is when she saw them over at that Quick Trip convenience store, he told her that he was no longer attracted to her. So this was basically their relationship was going to be falling apart and ending. So Daniel handed his phone over to detectives and consented to a download of messages. And with this, they were able to read messages that Ashley had sent him right after her attack. So she told him that she was struggling to breathe and it felt as if her heart was skipping beats. She said she planned to go to urgent care. So her text indicated that she was fine up until the point that Janine, his sister, marched up and kicked her by the heart and in the chest. So really that kind of sealed the deal. So it was clear that while Ashley was carrying on after the attack, we know she walked to the apartment. We know she got her cell phone and got herself back to her own apartment, which was like very near. I don't know if she lived in the same complex, but she was basically a neighbor to them. But throughout all of this, she was not aware of the severity of her injuries. So after she went back to her own apartment, surveillance video depicted her staggering and groaning to her door as she let herself in. And then she called her fiancé, Julian, to let him know what happened. So by the time he came home, she was in bad shape, and it was clear that she was truly struggling to breathe. So then video from their apartment, like outside the door, it showed her come out, and she was leaning over the railing that I think they were probably on the second floor. And you could tell she was just trying to catch her breath. It was actually really sad to see, knowing that she doesn't end up surviving this.
Yeah.
So Ashley ended up being taken to Memorial Hospital, where an ER nurse that was treating her reached out to authorities to say, hey, our patient that we're treating right now, she's here because she was assaulted. So now basically investigators are putting all the pieces together to figure out what the hell happened on this day. So in the meantime, this is 2 hours after the attack because we know that the person from the apartment complex who was working there, they reached out to 911. So investigators responded to Daniel and Antonetta's apartment. And this is where it comes down to, I said, there's always two sides to every story. So of course, Antonetta's going to give her side of the story. So this happened right around 1 p.m. after they had received a call from the leasing office. So here they found 27-year-old Antonetta Stevens and 17-year-old Janine Gonzalez. And they immediately attempted to shift the blame, claiming that it had been Ashley who had been the aggressor.
That's the only way out. That's the only way they can be saved is if they say that they got attacked first.
So if there had not been text messages, and if there had not been video recording of this entire thing, they could have potentially gotten away with this.
Yeah, because she said.
Right. So Antonetta was standing outside their apartment door as she explained that her fiancé's manager had been sleeping with him and was forcing him to have sex with her. Oh my goodness. How delusional and desperate do you have to be?
The cops are like, psycho.
So she claimed that Ashley threatened that if Daniel didn't continue to engage in sexual relations with her, he would be fired.
This girl, she came to my house. She's been sleeping with my fiance. She works over there. She's his manager, and she keeps on forcing him to have sex with her after he been cut it off, or she's gonna fire him. And we ended up fighting right there because she approached my home. This is my home. She lives all the way over there.
Okay, is everybody in the house right now?
Oh, just me. I'm the only one that fought. Just me. The girl, she left.
Is your sister involved?
My sister?
Yeah, is she?
No, that's my sister-in-law.
Is she involved?
She was there.
Are you two arguing? Or are you guys?
No, we're not arguing.
Okay,
We're okay.
so let's go inside.
The female that he's been sleeping with.
Him?
Yes, my
Okay.
fiance. I've been with for 5 years. We
Okay.
moved here together from up north. He works at Floor and Decor. He's been sleeping with his manager.
And that's who was here?
Yes.
Okay.
And I've been feeling it for some time now.
Okay.
Yesterday, I'm walking to Quick Trip. I see them walking together. And you're a woman. You know our intuition. I know that's the girl. I seen her. We argued yesterday. He broke it up. It was fine. This morning now, she's calling, text him, saying that she's going to be coming here. I waited for her.
And the cops are like, okay, let's see.
Okay. So as she continued on with her version of events, Antonetta conveniently left out the fact that it had been her that had lured Ashley to the complex that day, posing as Daniel. Ashley did not come to the complex that day to have any interaction with Antonetta. She thought Daniel was getting kicked out of the apartment, so she went there because he, in quotations, asked her to. So Antonetta told the officers that when she went to the Quick Trip convenience store one day earlier, she saw Daniel with Ashley, and her woman's intuition told her that this was the girl that he was sleeping with. And of course, there's a female officer there, and she's trying to connect with her. And she's like, a woman's intuition. So she claimed that after they argued, Daniel broke things off with Ashley. However, that wasn't the case.
Yeah, they had the proof and everything.
And
right?
Daniel said, I talked to Antonetta and said, I'm sorry, I'm just not attracted to you any longer. So she's telling the cops, nope, Daniel broke things off with Ashley. However, Ashley refused to take no for an answer and continued to text and call him. Another lie. She initiated those texts that morning. So she was claiming that Ashley was the one that came to their apartment. She kept saying, to my home. She came to my home. So Antonetta admitted that she waited outside for the other woman to arrive, but left out the part of being the one responsible for luring her there. She claimed that they began fighting because Ashley approached her home. And it wasn't until investigators were able to go through Daniel's phone that they learned the truth. Because, of course, at this point in time, they're taking statements. So when investigators, and by the way, at this point in time, Ashley is still fine and alive. So right now, they're just dealing with
domestic dispute.
Exactly, a dispute.
Yep.
So when investigators contacted the hospital where Ashley was receiving treatment, she was still conscious. She was alert. She was talking. So they were able to speak with her over the phone. So they explained that according to Janine and Antonetta, it was a mutual fight that began over the fact that she was sleeping with her fiancé. So Ashley was able to tell officers that this was not the truth. She's like, do they have the right person here? So during their conversation, Ashley could be heard coughing a lot. And she actually apologized for the fact that she was coughing a lot. She told the officer that she had bite marks on her face, her arm, and her leg, and cuts to her back.
Bite marks, Jesus.
It
What
was
an
vicious.
Animalistic attack.
That's exactly the word I was going to use. So she said that Antonetta was sitting on her during the attack, and while the other girl, who she's referring to as Janine, was kicking the crap out of her.
They told us that she found out you were sleeping with her fiance. Y'all went outside and had words, and y'all got into a mutual fight.
Well, they got the wrong person then, because that's not what unless they were looking for somebody or what, but sorry, coffee.
So sadly, what both Ashley and truly at that moment in time, her medical team did not realize, of course, they're doing scans and things like that, but that her condition was far worse than it appeared to be, as she was suffering from internal bleeding.
And that's what's so dangerous. She's awake. So like as a human being, you're like, okay, well, we'll get it figured out. And you obviously want to talk to them. What happened? Okay. Oh, you got kicked. Okay. You seem fine and you're coughing a little bit. But it's like, man, meanwhile, internally, her heart's probably bleeding. Her lungs are probably, punctured and things filling up. I mean, just the coughing, that's lungs right away.
So her condition rapidly, sadly deteriorated, and Ashley ended up being airlifted to another hospital because she needed to have emergency surgery. I'm assuming it was probably like a trauma center. So according to her sister Jessica, by the time Ashley reached the hospital, she was no longer able to breathe on her own. She had been placed on a ventilator by this point. And tragically, Ashley never made it into surgery. She died hours later, again, before she could make it into surgery. So meanwhile, medical staff and police had to go into the waiting room where her fiancé, Julian, was sitting. And he was told the devastating news that the mother of his 7-year-old child is dead.
I mean, granted, they're not together, but it's still horrible.
But they were, though.
News.
They were still living together. They had a life together.
Right. And they
Maybe
share a
it wasn't
child.
necessarily romantic, but
that's horrible news.
Horrible news, shocking news, because of course he was the one to have taken her.
Yeah, it's like she was fine. What are you talking about?
She was, if you see the video of her, which Mike's going to insert videos, but it's like you would have thought she was okay. Unbelievable. So according to the attending emergency physician, Dr. Melissa Chen, Ashley's injuries were consistent with an attack of extreme brutality. And it was very obvious that the force that was used on her was far beyond what would have ever been needed just to establish intimidation. You know, this was extremely brutal. Obviously, it resulted in her death.
Well, like we always talk about overkill and stuff, like emotions become involved here. And it's just like, you know, obviously she went off her the deep end and just continually attacked. And like she already knew that it was probably enough when she was laying there, but no, just kept going at it and then offered Janine an opportunity.
Right.
And Janine was feeling part of the group or whatever. But like, we're going to talk about this probably at the end, but like, just because somebody cheated on your man or woman or whatever, you don't get to kill them.
No.
Like, you know, and obviously, also like the beatings, you know, like I would almost, you know, if I walked in and you were with a guy, well, like, oh man, that'd be a nightmare. But like, I'd be mad at you more than him because you know what you're breaking up. This like awesome family we have, you know.
Right. I'm the one that's betraying the family. This guy doesn't know you from Adam. You know,
he just sees a hot little piece like Allison over here.
I think of like Maroon 5 song, Wake Up Call.
Yeah.
And that's where he ends up killing.
So I had to shoot him dead.
He won't come around here anymore. So obviously in that song, he also, you know, shot the person. Yeah, the dude. So Ashley's autopsy determined that her manner of death was homicide caused by generalized trauma. What really was the biggest problem was the rupture of her adrenal gland. So this is a small triangular shaped gland that sits right atop each of our kidneys. So it ruptured and this caused her to ultimately bleed out internally.
Wow, I've never heard of that. Have you?
Yeah, you know, you think about a car accident or something like that.
Where
you
everything's
know.
just exploded internally.
Exactly. So after Ashley was pronounced dead, the case instantly changed from assault now to murder.
This is huge now. Now it's like, okay, you are going away for a long time. Like this is a big deal.
Right. And if you know, haven't hopped over to our YouTube page, I highly suggest you check this out because it becomes an absolute crap show when they bring them in for questioning. I mean, it's just unbelievable. So investigators now go back to Antonetta and Daniel's apartment to notify Antonetta and Janine of Ashley's death.
Jesus.
While Daniel was not yet there at the time.
So you go from like just like he said, she said, here's what actually happened. Like, yeah, okay, well, I'm looking forward to seeing Ashley in the hospital and we're figuring this all out. It's like, no, she's gone now.
She's dead.
And now somebody has to pay.
Right. So they're standing at the door. So hearing the news that Ashley died as a result of her injuries, Antonetta seemed surprised as she continued to maintain, oh, I'm sorry. This was a mutual altercation. Again, saying Ashley had been the one to show up to her apartment. So she maintained that when the officers first came, when Ashley was still alive, and she's continuing to maintain, I was protecting my home. She came to my home. Meanwhile, Janine is like lurking in the background of the door, just standing behind Antonetta.
Well, yeah, because she knows she's screwed. Because she's just,
I don't think she does.
Okay.
Wait till you see the interrogation.
Hey, I'm Detective Carter with Gwinnett County Police. Are you your internet?
Yes, hi.
Hey, this is Detective Poppy or Sergeant Poppy.
Hi, nice to meet you.
We know that there was like an incident
Yeah.
that happened earlier today. Has anyone called you about it since?
No. Was somebody supposed to?
Well, we just got another call about it. So I guess the girl went to the hospital
Okay.
and she died.
She died.
She's dead. So, but we know that there was like an altercation that happened
And
beforehand.
that was mutual, and she came here.
Yeah, we understand that.
Yeah.
So, but because
I
of it,
wasn't going to kill anybody.
Yeah.
I'm not that person.
I get it.
Yeah.
But because of that, we have to kind of talk to you guys and get a more formal statement.
Sure, okay. Wow, I'm so sorry about that.
Yeah.
That was not my intention. I've been mentally going through a lot. I have bipolar depression, and I'm just going through a lot right now.
So after the detective explained that they needed to get a more formal statement from her, Antonetta continued to reinforce the idea that the altercation had been mutual. She also indicated that she had been dealing with a lot as she was suffering from bipolar depression. So Antonetta and Janine, they were brought down to the station and they were placed into separate rooms for separate questioning.
awesome. Good idea.
So throughout the near entirety of Janine's conversation with detectives, and wait till you see these videos, she was laughing, carrying on, smiling,
Perhaps there is some bipolar.
showing zero remorse. This is Janine. Janine did not say she was suffering from bipolar depression.
Oh my gosh.
Antonetta did.
Right.
So
okay.
this is Daniel's 17-year-old sister.
She's
who
laughing, smiling.
laughing, smiling as if she was talking about a game.
Just hanging out with friends.
Yes, 100%.
Oh,
So she showed zero remorse about the fact that Ashley had just died as a result of their attack.
real quick, at this point, does Janine know that Ashley said it was because of those blows to her like midsection?
She doesn't know anything
okay.
except for the fact that Ashley died.
Got it.
So she explained that Daniel and Antonetta had not been on good terms, and they had been often arguing. She indicated that she and Antonetta were extremely close, and really she viewed Antonetta as more of a sister to her than she viewed Daniel, who was her actual brother, as a brother to her.
Now, me and my stepsister, I mean, not my stepsister, my sister-in-law, we're very close, like, so close, like, you understand. Like, she's more of a sister to me than my brother's a brother to me, you know?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Very
So,
close.
like, we're very close.
Yeah.
So, once he told me, I was just like, ooh, what the tell her?
It's girl code. You have
Yes,
to.
right? So, especially when, right after he told me what he was doing, he wanted to do it with her. So I was just like, I'm about to tell her.
So Janine was very, very forthcoming with investigators as she truly happily explained the details of the fight, saying that the majority of the attack was done by Antonetta, as she only dragged her just a little bit in the beginning. And you could tell the investigators are trying to establish a rapport and keep it casual. Girl, I'm sure you got your own hits in.
Yep.
And she's so dumb, she doesn't realize that she's
God.
being baited at this point in time.
Dumb criminals are the best.
Who was fighting?
The girl Antonetta.
Everybody?
No.
Girl, you ain't get on in?
No. Yeah.
Of course you did. I know you did.
Just a little bit.
You got because like you said, that's your homegirl.
Yeah. Yeah.
Tell me about that. How that happened.
I didn't go crazy though, cause she's small as hell. Like you're enough already. I don't need to be punching her, dragging her. I don't need to do all of that. I'm good. Like in the beginning, she got on the floor, and I kind of like dragged her just a little bit.
Just a little bit.
And then I stopped. I was just like,
it's hard. The adrenaline's going. You know, you gotta.
Yeah. I was just like, okay, let me stop. And then they're just fighting. And yeah, just a little hit. So I didn't really fight her. That's just crazy.
So when Antonetta told Janine to grab Ashley's phone, she did as she was told. And it was very clear that while she continued to casually tell her story, Janine was not understanding the gravity of the situation and the fact that she was sitting in an interrogation room at a police office being implicated for murder.
Yeah.
Like,
it's a pretty big deal.
hello? So investigators caught Janine in a lie when she told them that she was unaware that Antonetta had actually been the one to lure Ashley out to the complex, as when their phones were analyzed, a video from Janine's phone depicted Antonetta sitting on the ground outside their apartment, actually texting Ashley from Daniel's phone. So we have everything on film in this case because she was dumb enough to record it all.
And help me, do the police know this already? They saw this video, so they're like, okay, we already know this. We're going to ask her, did you know? And she'll say no. Okay, so she's lying.
Like, what?
Got it.
What? I didn't know they were texting.
Uh-huh.
So, they're literally sitting outside the apartment waiting for Ashley to arrive.
Did you guys text her?
What do you mean?
Did you guys send messages to her?
No, we don't got her number.
No, I mean from his phone.
Oh, from his phone?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't think so. No.
Okay.
You sure?
Yeah.
Because you messed up your story a little bit. I already read the messages. You messed up a little bit.
What was the messages?
He wasn't getting kicked out.
Oh, yes, he was. I don't know. What the hell?
So as the pair were sitting outside their apartment, Antonetta texted Ashley asking where she was. While she continued to pose as Daniel, she wrote, "I need to see you." And Ashley responded that she was in bed, and she said, "I wish you were here with me." Of course, this is not being sent to Daniel, it's being sent to Antonetta.
Right.
So Antonetta went on to create an illusion that as a result of Daniel's affair, he had gotten kicked out of the apartment that he shared with his fiancée, Antonetta. And in response, Ashley wrote, "I'm going to throw some clothes on and I'm going to head over." So as she's heading over, again, she expects to see Daniel there, but instead she sees Antonetta and Janine. And everything happened very, very quickly. So when the detective asked Janine if she had recorded the fight, she responded that she didn't, since she wasn't dumb enough to do so.
Oh, man. Well, I've got news for you. You were dumb enough.
Another blatant lie. So she remained casual and calm throughout the interview, laughing and even frequently yawning. So the detective asked Janine how she felt about the fact that Ashley died as a result of the injuries that she had sustained during that fight.
How does it make you feel?
That shit make me feel like I'm going to hell. That I'm not gonna lie. Yeah. Like, that's really crazy. Life is crazy.
And meanwhile, Antonetta was much quieter in the separate interrogation room in the police station. She asked for a lawyer. So it was clear she understood, the gravity of the situation. I don't know what Janine thought her role was in this. If she thought they were going to go out and get some ice cream afterwards, I'm not quite sure. So, it was very, very different in both rooms. So she is asking for a lawyer, Antonetta, and she explained that she never intended to get into an altercation with Ashley that day, and it had been Ashley who came to her house looking for Daniel. So it wasn't until Daniel stood in front of his apartment building later that night speaking with detectives when he learned that Ashley had not survived the attack. He had no idea. So he asked the detective, he's telling the story of how everything transpired that day. And, he starts asking, like, how is Ashley doing? I just want to know how she is. And when the detectives broke the news of Ashley's passing, he immediately became inconsolable.
Is she hurt?
I see it.
Like real bad?
So
honestly, I'm not gonna make a show. I'm not gonna go and yell. I'm not gonna go call her. I just want to know.
Well, yeah, we got a call from the hospital a little while ago, and she actually passed away from.
Bro, stop playing with me,
No,
please.
seriously.
Please stop playing with me.
Sure.
Please stop playing with me.
Sit down,
Please
sit
stop
down, sit down,
playing
sit down, sit down, sit down, sit down.
Please stop playing with me.
Shh, breathe. Breathe.
Please stop playing with me now. I can't
Breathe. Shh, breathe.
Oh.
Look at me. Breathe.
Always.
So you could tell, regardless whether there were strong feelings there, somebody that he knew and worked with had just died.
And had great feelings for.
Of course. So both Antonetta and Janine were arrested and charged with aggravated battery, robbery, and felony murder. When Janine was told that she was being charged with murder, she told detectives, "What? You gotta be kidding me. I barely laid hands on her. All I did was pull her hair." However, it was revealed that it had been Janine's kicks, I should say, that truly ended up being the final fatal blow for Ashley.
Robbery? What? Robbery?
Yeah.
We didn't steal her phone. We took it so she could come to the house.
Oh, you took it?
Yeah,
You didn't steal it.
she got her phone back.
Ah.
I told you she wasn't leaving unless we gave her back her phone. We just did it so we could call her husband, but we changed our mind.
Ah, okay.
We had her phone today. She got her phone back.
She said it was okay for you to take it?
No.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that's a robbery. The other charge is murder.
Murder?
Yep. You're being charged with murder.
Me?
Yep.
That's too bad.
That's deep, right?
Yeah, that's insane.
Yeah.
No. What? Murder? I barely laid hands on her. All I did was pull her hair.
So Antonetta and Janine were taken to the Gwinnett County Jail while Daniel Gonzalez was at home with their 3-year-old son. With this, 3 young boys now were left without a mother. Ashley had died, and now Antonetta, who had 2 boys with Daniel, was being arrested.
Yeah, Antonetta, you think like you're probably a great mom, which you may or may not have been prior to this, but it's just like you did this, and therefore now you're not a mother to your children, therefore making you a terrible mother. Like before we go out and do these things that are, rash decisions, like let's think about the repercussions that are going to happen, and now your little kids have no mother. Like what a horrible, horrible choice by you as a mother.
All over a rage-filled, jealousy-fueled love triangle.
Yeah.
And, I think it didn't help that both Janine and Antonetta were involved in the fight because they were like fueling off each other's energy.
Right.
So I think it went farther than had it been just one against one.
Fully ado, like we talked
Right,
about.
exactly. So in 2023, both Ashley and Janine pleaded guilty to voluntary manslaughter and received 20 years prison sentences. And the release dates are set for August of 2042. So while some consider this justice, others felt this too lenient of a punishment given the premeditated nature of the attack and the fact that Ashley ended up losing her life over this. So during her time behind bars, Janine somehow managed to get a cell phone and post a smug video of herself smiling to TikTok, which truly only solidified that even while she's now convicted of murder and behind bars, she still thinks this is just all a joke.
And kind of bad at making decisions. Like, what's the good that's going to come out of this? Like, there is no good. Like, maybe you'll get a couple likes or whatever, but it's like you're in jail. They're going to see that you posted a video, so you'll probably get some kind of a hand slap. It's like, it's so stupid.
She just doesn't get it. So no sentence can ever undo the void that was left behind at the loss of Ashley and the fact that a little boy will grow up without his mom by his side. This isn't just a tale of betrayal and rage, it's a stark reminder of how quickly emotions can unravel into tragedy. Ashley's family grieves a vibrant soul while 3 young boys grow up marked by loss. And I don't believe that when Janine and Antonetta set out to do this whole thing that they ever imagined that Ashley was going to die. I don't think, even though Antonetta stood out there saying, I will murder you, I don't think she thought or intended to kill Ashley that day, but she did.
Right.
And that is the sad and tragic murder of Ashley Bocanegra.
Oh man, that's so terribly sad, and especially because the kids now they don't have mothers on both sides, unfortunately. And the thing with Antonetta, man, it's just such a small little choice, not little, huge choice.
Huge.
And is your microphone okay there?
Yeah, I'm sorry if you've heard noises. It's my coffee cup. I apologize.
Well, you got to get your coffee during the crime and coffee
It's the crime and coffee couple, and I need my coffee.
Yeah, but just such a terrible tale. I mean, like we said, like cheating's not cool, but like you don't get to kill somebody because they cheated on you. Like, it's just not a thing.
Yeah, and I can't imagine what it must feel like to realize that the person you envision spending the rest of your life with, who you share children with, is having both a physical and emotional relationship with someone else. I imagine that would be devastating, but like you said, you have to think about your actions. You cannot just beat the life out of somebody literally and not get in trouble. And just wait till you hear, well, by this point you will, but it's Janine. Like, that was the kicker in all of this, just how she thought this was all just a funny joke.
It's kind of flippant and like, oh, whatever. Like she's probably the type that has gotten into some fights. Maybe
she has.
Okay.
She established that during the interview.
Okay, so it's like just another fight. This girl's gonna come out, or she's dead, but like it's just she didn't understand the gravity. Like
she
you were
did
saying.
not
Just
at all.
Oh man, well,
just a crazy, horrible thing. And it was just really tragic to see that Ashley was just like walking around not realizing that she was at risk for dying.
And as the commissioner of death, self-appointed commissioner of death, I don't think that either of these people should be put to death. It's just something that happened that was horrible. Obviously, it's never want to see a murder, but I don't think they're a danger to society in general. But I mean, man.
Oh, what about the next person that pisses them off?
Yeah, it's not like I don't think death. Maybe a long time in jail. Definitely a long time. What do you think about the jail sentence? I think I don't know.
20 years, which will mean that Janine will be 37 when she gets out, and she'll probably have picked up some tricks from her fellow inmates. I mean, personally, I think she's a loose cannon who just has zero sense. Is she a risk for getting into another fight and hurting somebody else? Of course, 100%.
I mean, Antonetta is kind of the whole driver of this.
The ringleader, for sure, because Janine did look up to her. She saw her as a sister.
Yeah. The true danger is Antonetta.
But 20 years for a life lost? No, I don't think that's enough time. Not at all. Yeah. Ashley has zero time for the rest. Her life is gone.
Absolutely.
So
right.
20 years? No, I think that's a joke. At minimum 40.
Yep. So, well, thank you so much for telling the story, and just something to, keep in mind. If there's somebody really pissing you off and somebody cheated, like, it's just not worth, going to jail forever for, and ending a life, and, also hurting so many loved ones.
We always have repercussions for our choices in life, and you have to think about it.
Yep.
I'm somebody that thinks overly about everything. So
sometimes you act out of hand a little bit, I think, sometimes, but I don't think you're a little bit. So, all right. Well, thank you so much for listening. I do want to say a quick shout out. Thank you so much to the Van Zant Coffee Company. So one of our listeners reached out and said, hey, would you like to try some? And I was like, absolutely. So got myself a bag. I got the Radiant Brew. So they're coffee roasters out of Texas. So check them out if you love coffee like I did. And that's actually what's in my cup right now. And it's delicious.
It's in my cup too. And Mike poured the beans in and he was like, look at them. They're glistening.
Oh, they're so pretty with all their oils on them. And oh man, I'm tasting them all. So it's Van Zant, VanZandt. It's
delicious. It's smooth, because sometimes dark roast to me can be a little punchy.
Well, this is because it's fresh. It has the roasted by date. It was like 2 weeks ago.
Very recent.
Yeah. So thanks for sending that coffee and all that stuff. Delicious.
We love our listeners.
Yeah. And hey, if you love what we do, speaking of loving listeners, we love you more if you go ahead on over to Apple subscriptions or Patreon and become a subscriber. You can get up to like 150 bonus episodes, depending on your subscription level. So go check that out. Apple subscribers get everything, and Patreon you can choose ad-free or like 2 a month or 5 a month. So go ahead and check that out. Thank you so much for all your support. We really appreciate you. And if you love merch, we have a merch set up. So go look at our link on LinkedIn.
Yeah, we're working on that, and we also have a blog. I don't know if you guys were aware of that, but we do, and it was just redone, and we're getting that up and running. And we're also working on the merch to try to release some more options.
A lot of things going on. A lot of things. Mike's very stressed.
Everything takes a little longer over in our neck of the woods here.
And by neck of the woods, she means with Mike.
I'm not pointing at anyone.
No, but if she did, it would be me. And she's pointing at me. So good stuff. But thank you so much. Every listener means so much to us. We really appreciate you. Please tell your neighbors, friends, coworkers, all that stuff. It really helps us.
Yeah. And thank you guys so much for being here. And until next time, bye.